Ever since 2014, Ukrainian life has been overshadowed by fear of a possible full-scale invasion by its eastern Goliath neighbor, Russia. In early 2014, the Russian Federation annexed Crimea on the 60th year anniversary of it being moved from Russia to Ukraine as a gift by Nikita Khrushchev during the Soviet era. Though Moscow maintains historical claim to Crimea since the rule of Catherine the Great in 1738 until the Soviet era, fighting with English, French, and Turkish troops over some period for the peninsula during the Crimean War. Though holding its historical claim and a mostly Russian population in Crimea of at the time 60%, Russia did in fact violate agreements set in place, such as the 1975 Helsinki Final Act, the 1994 Budapest Memorandum of Security Assurances for Ukraine, and the 1997 Treaty on Friendship, Cooperation, and Partnership between Ukraine and Russia. This annexation was the first major land grab in Europe since World War II.
Референдум был проведен открыто и честно. И люди в Крыму ясно, убедительно выразили свою волю. Они хотят быть с Россией.
Vladimir Putin justifies this aggression in part by asserting that Crimea is comprised of mostly ethnic Russians. By annexing Crimea, Russia also added a major strategical naval port to their arsenal in Sevastopol. This port offers warm water that won't freeze over in the winter like most Russian ports and projects power to the west, not only in the Black Sea, but the Mediterranean and beyond. Now coming full circle to today, 8 years later, Ukrainian forces continue to fight against Russian separatists in the Donbas region, taking the lives of 14,000. Despite a 2015 ceasefire, this has been nothing but an imperfect peace, with risks of becoming the largest crisis since the Cold War. Ever since the 90s, Russia has been losing its buffer from the West, with more former Russian satellite states joining NATO, pushing further eastward with Moscow in the distance, leaving only Ukraine and Belarus as a slim buffer between. See, the situation at hand isn't with President Zelensky, but the Western powers that support him politically and militarily. The Kremlin is worried about Ukraine joining NATO and having the West push further east, closer to the motherland, which Russia is prepared to protect at all costs at the sake of national security. Russia's geography doesn't give them the opportunity to be at ease. Russia has been invaded 6 times, 5 of them coming from the west and 1 coming from the Mongols in the south. From Russian cities being burned down to the ground in defeat as the Mongols did, to bittersweet victory over Nazi Germany, a war that was won but at the expense of everything you've known in rubble and millions of your people dead. Just as nature takes, it gives. Despite being open road to Moscow, Russia's vastness has protected it. By the time an enemy army has approached Moscow, it has already unsustainably long supply lines, which become increasingly difficult to protect as they extend their campaign. With using their advantage of Russian winters is a death sentence, just as Napoleon did in 1812 and Hitler did in 1941. Russians are no stranger to war. They've seen it too often due to their geography. Russia simply has no natural barriers. After the Carpathian Mountains in southern Europe, it's flat and perfect military conditions to march on Moscow from there. So after protests in Ukraine brought down Viktor Yanukovych, pro-Russian government, and brought in a pro-West government, Putin was left with a choice: to respect Kyiv, the mother of Rus, or understand the cards it's been dealt and make it the first move. So, understanding Russia's circumstances, we can see why they're intertwined and what they want with Ukraine. We can now understand why just last month 100,000 Russian soldiers amassed along the Ukrainian borders as tensions rose rapidly. Russia has a deep love for Kyiv, being the mother of all cities in Rus. But unfortunately, Russia knows that the Western powers behind Kyiv want to see the downfall of all Russian cities.